1, 2, 1. Hey guys, welcome to the Urban Woodsman series from Japan. As you can see, I'm in my garage here where I can work in Japan, and it's actually a very big one. But please excuse the noise from outside. It's actually cars passing. We're in a very urban environment here in a city with about 1.2, 1.3 million people in Fukuoka. And as I said in my introduction video from home, that I want to do some videos for people who are in an urban environment themselves, to live in an urban environment, so their situation is very different from people who have more access to green wood, who live in countryside, and so on. So my situation has very much changed here in Japan because I don't have regular access to green wood. So I want to show you how I stored a big log of pear wood I harvested in winter here over the last 6 month and a bit actually, and how I actually managed to get it back to carveable condition. It worked out very well, and I want to share it with you because I know that some of you guys don't always get fresh wood, and when they have green wood they often don't get to it in time. So that means you guys have to find ways to keep it carveable for a long time, or remake it carveable, so to say, like revive it, so to say. So I just want to show you now how I did it and how I processed the wood in order to get it back to carveable. Hey guys, so here's actually how it works. I already processed half of the log before, so I just kept this part here to show you how I actually do it. This is a piece of pear from pear farm up in the mountains that I harvested in spring. So as you can see, I kept the bark on as far as possible when I stored it, and I kept it as long as possible. So that's basically the piece of log I got, and I'm pretty happy that it was quite long because some cracking will occur. So because the environment in Japan is very moist and it's very humid and hot. Actually, it is extremely humid and hot right now. That's why I'm in tank tops and shorts, and I'm gonna be breaking a sweat in this video, definitely. Just talking to you is already quite exhausting. So what I wanted to say is this log kept the moisture actually quite well over the last few months. It is not carveable though anymore, especially pear, like fruit woods, like pear, apple, plum, for example. They are actually quite hard in the first place, so you want to carve them when they're green. When they're dry, they become extremely tough, very, very prone to cracking, and your tool's just gonna, the edge is just gonna roll like nothing. So yeah, I want to get this back to a lot more moist than it is right now. So what am I gonna do? First of all, there's this big lumpy thing at the end. I'm not gonna be able to carve anything out of that, as I saw from the other side. So what I'm gonna do is I cut it off here with my saw, just in order to make splitting easier, because as you can see, this lumpy part here with a lot of funny grain directions is making splitting very, very difficult. So as I can see, I have my improvised cutting block here, and as I'm on a trip, and that's something I'm actually gonna cover in my my toolkit video for trips and for like an essential kind of kit. I have my Japanese pulling saw here, and this is it's gonna be a tough job, but this is gonna do the job. So I'm gonna cut this part off. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit, and I'm gonna get back to you when it's done. So that was easy. So now that this part is actually gone, we have a rather straight and nice piece of pear, and this actually should split quite nicely. So instead of just sawing this whole thing through again with my beloved but really pruning saw for green wood, not for tough half dry pear logs. So anyways, like, I'm gonna split it down, and any other like cutting is gonna be a lot easier. So what we want to do now, and then I'm gonna speed up the video again for you guys. What we want to do now is that we're gonna look at already occurring cracks in the wood, like for example here. I hope you can see this crack here. This is giving us already a guideline for our cuts, and this thing here is approximately 18 centimeters in diameter on the widest point. So it's definitely good for radial splitting. So I'm gonna split some of those cake pieces out from here. At least I tried to. And we're gonna go from there. So guys, we're back already. I decided I'm just gonna go from here because this is the interesting part for you. So I'm gonna take care of the rest of the log later. What's as well very important when you store the log in the first place, not only like keep the bark on, leave it long, because you might have some cracking in the end, in the cutting surfaces. Depending on what kind of wood you're using, the cracks sometimes go through, or they only like reach, I don't know, like 2 inches, 5 centimeters in. You can cut those parts off and you're good to go. Another thing that's very important is you can actually seal those cutting surfaces. There are products just for sealing wood, and you can also just wax them. And it's making it already more difficult for the moisture to get out of the end grain. Another thing, when you store it somewhere, you always have the problem that if you store it too moist, it might keep the moisture, but it might get moldy. And then you can actually harvest mushrooms from your logs, which is quite nice too. That's how, by the way, they do in Japan when they have a shiitake farm. Maybe you know shiitake, Japanese very famous mushrooms. They actually just take pieces of maple, Japanese, oh, is it oak? I think it's donguri, Japanese oak, and they just put them up like a little fence in a very moist environment, and they grow on the logs, and then they harvest from the logs. Just a little off-topic story. So that's the problem when you store it into a high humidity area, so to say, like outside in the shed somewhere, in the mud, so to say. If you put the logs up too high on a shelf, though, like with all the hot air tending to go up, it's gonna dry out very quickly, and within a much shorter time, actually, your wood is going to dry out. So you have to find in your environment a space that does the job for you. So now we split off this, just an example, a part of pear wood, and as you can see, I can feel it's quite heavy. There's still some moisture in there, and it actually has some very nice colors. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to decide the spoons that I want to make from that. So I'm just taking one of my normal sized eating spoon templates, or whatever you want to use, and I just want to put it on here, and then I'm just going to see like how often it actually fits in here. So this would fit like 2, like not even 3 times in here, so I'd rather just keep it 1, and then I'm going to have a bigger portion for something like a cooking spoon or so. So I just gonna mark for myself where I want to have it. Quick line. And this is actually where I'm gonna cut now, because my intention is to, when I re-water the spoon blanks, so like the billets, I want to get it as close to billet shape as possible, in order for the moisture actually having even a chance to penetrate all the way through. And I'm going to show you how it's going to look when the moisture penetrates all the way through. So now I'm just going to cut this. I'm going to speed it up for you, and then the axe is going to come into action, and we're just going to form nice little radial spoon billets out of this that we're going to water in it. So I hope guys the fan that I turned on now is not too disturbing, but didn't want to kind of get all sweaty and stuff in front of the camera. So here we have our two sizes of our spoon billets, and then I just gonna decide, look at the spoon billets and kind of like have a look where the bowl might go and size wise, and just estimate it a little bit. Just gonna do it for me right now, and I'm just gonna work it down, speed it up again, and I'm gonna show you what we end up with. So guys, we ended up with two spoon billets, more or less. I wanted to create some flat surfaces, look for cracks in the wood, because if I'm already seeing cracks in the wood go all the way through and stuff, I don't even have to carve with it, because I know already from experience that once the spoon is half done and it starts drying, somewhere a crack is going to pop up right in the middle of my bowl, and it's just really not worth the hustle. This is going to be a very small, it's a very small billet, but it still makes a very nice little eating spoon. So it's better than nothing, right? So now we're done with that step. I want to bring in the next part, which is the watering itself. So here we go, folks. That's all it is. It's a bucket with water. In Austria, actually, when I'm not getting to wood or spoon blanks that I'm storing already for a while in a plastic bag and they get too dry, I have huge buckets of water in the garden that catch the rain, and I just throw them in there, literally, and I just leave them there. And depending on the diameter, let's say I worked down already with the axe to a very small diameter, like this eating spoon here, and I just want to water it through a little bit in order to make working it with the spoon knife easier, for example. I just have to leave it there for, I don't know, for a day. And then we have another extreme example here. This is from the other half of the log that I was working, and I kept those a little bit bigger. And they have been watering for approximately a week now. And I want to, like, the parts that actually look out of the water, because I couldn't actually find a bucket bigger than this, I want to show you what happened. So around here, as you can tell, is dry because it was sticking out of the water. But if I turn it over, here actually on the cutting surface, on the end grain, it is completely moist, as you can tell. So you can really see that this log here was penetrated by moisture all the way to the inside. So I basically have not green, but at least a wet piece of wood again. And this is actually bringing me to another thing I want to mention about this. So very often when you have a piece of wood like that, what is going to happen is called spalting. It's very hard to show you right here, but an indicator of spalting, for example, would be black lines and color changes. So even woods that are usually very even throughout in color and appearance, they would get all kind of color changes, and very interesting structure in it. And this is actually what many of us want. The problem about spalting though is that it's basically a microbial digestion. So basically fungi and bacteria start to digest the wood. So to a certain degree spalting is very nice, but then from a certain point on it turns the wood into sponge. So you start carving and you get to this area that really feels like styrofoam, literally. And that's it, you know, you can chuck this spoon away or this piece of wood away because it's not good for anything anymore. So I was very lucky. I had some spalting occur in this piece of hair, and it hasn't gone too far. But as you can see, maybe you could notice when I chopped down the pieces, it's not behaving like regular wood anymore. It's not falling off in big chunks or like in feathers, so to say, but it's more breaking away like rock. And that's actually a sign that I'm just in time, a little bit longer, and this would have been gone bad. Yeah, so as you can see, what I can do with this now, I'm just gonna chuck it into the bucket of water, and I just, you know, if it's sticking out, I turn it around every day, and I just see how long it takes. Sometimes it takes 2 days, with smaller diameter like this. Sometimes it takes a week. Yeah. When you carve the spoon and let it dry, the smell is going to disappear. I hope I helped some of you guys who are living in an environment where you're not always getting green wood and you just want to make more out of your wood supply, so to say. I had very, very good results with this kind of method. It's not always successful. So that's already all from my side. I hope I could help you with the video a little bit. If you have the stuff in the bucket and it starts to smell a little bit funny, just change the water. It's just normal that there's a lot of fungi and microbial life in there. So but it's better than nothing. So before you don't carve anything, just give it a try. Maybe it works for you. So yeah, there's going to be some more videos like this coming from Japan because of my changed situation, and I hope you guys find it helpful and you have a good time watching. If there's any requests for videos I could do, or if there's any critical feedback you give about my videos, you want to give about my videos, please just feel free to add them in the comment section. And otherwise, I would be very happy about a thumbs up and a subscription to my channel. So thank you for watching. Have a good day. Os.
She's the dying heart of this ragged old town. She done dug her own grave in the rocky soil ground. But now she knows she ain't gonna lay down until the wolf has gone away and the hunter comes round. Don't wanna know what's come around. And in the golden days of a terrorless time, she never needed anybody around to tell her how to keep her worries in line. But now she won't go outside to see that there ain't no wolf, just a boy in the street howling up into the sky. Don't they howl into the sky? Don't you hear the sound of ghosts calling from the grave? Don't you do it like we've done when we had our way? There ain't no night, no hunting hero gonna save the day. So get off the floor and be wrong before you wither away.